sure wasn't dissipating as it was coming across. So as it got closer and we could see it from the radar on the boat, we had then took our sails down, and we had a number 4 up, and I was sailing on a J111, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a 36-foot boat. We had a crew total of 8 on board. And so the crew that I was sailing with, this is a couple times I've sailed with these people, but not on the J111, but they've sailed multiple Macs and have very good experiences. And I guess the kudos really does go out to the crew members, and part of that is because of the fact that they had taken all those safety at sea courses that are required for the Mackinac, as well as done their own experiences and practiced and things like that. And that's why I am still here today, is because they knew exactly what to do. So when this whole thing started, we started to get some of the effects from the storm. Like I said, we took the mainsail down. We had the number 4 jib up, and we were still doing about 8 knots with just the jib. The wind was southwest, so we were on a reach. And so then when we got nailed by the storm, the boat accidentally tacked. And we had recorded on our boat 50 plus. Other boats were recording 70 and 80 plus wind gusts. And so then the boat tacked. So we were sitting on the port side. We were on port tack, and myself and a couple of the crew members who were on watch at that time, we were sitting on the combing with our feet on the seat. And when we did this tack, I think it was a tack, we went from sitting on the port side to down this way. So if you've ever had that experience, you know that, it's very difficult to climb back up again. But what happened is the boat went into a major broach at that point. So what happened with me is this water, while the water was coming down the port rail and picked me up. It also picked up the crew member next to me. But what was significant about this is that the tether snap shackle on my tether, I was clipped to the deck on the jack line, and my tether let loose. So I was no longer attached to the boat. The guy next to me was attached, so they pulled him in because he was floating as well. We were both picked up on this wave and then sent over above on top of the lifelines. Because my shackle on my life jacket, on my safety harness, let loose, and I'm going to show you a picture of it, I was now in the water. And so this happened at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to share my screen here with you. I took some of the pictures that I've worked with a little bit here and give you some idea about what some of the things. So this is, if you haven't done the hook starts in Racine, and it's 189 miles. It actually goes through Death's Door Passage, which is right about here. I don't know, not on the top, that's Detroit Island, but you get the idea of why it's called the Hook. And then it goes to Menominee. So this is just a picture of not the J111 that I sailed on, but to give you an idea of what we were. So this was not just some small little boat. And again, very experienced crew, many, many, many years of Mac racing, One Design, Starboat racing, everything else. I also was sailing with my brother, who is actually the skipper's Starboat crew. So it's 36 feet long. I'm going to go here. I talked a little bit. So this is my safety harness over to the left. It is a 4-spar. It's kind of an older model, that kind of thing. And then what we have here is my snap shackle. So it's a typical snap shackle, and it is from a West Marine tether. And the tether itself is only 2-3 years old. I've only used it one other time. So I don't really know what happened. There is no damage to the snap shackle that we have noticed. The pin is still there. It's not bent or anything like that. For some reason, it opened because I had checked my safety harness when I went up on deck for my watch at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had both pieces on, and then I clipped in. And as you can see, this is the strobe that I had, and then I just had a basic whistle here. If I go back here, This is the storm, and these are pieces of, came off of the Hook website. You can see at 2:05, that's what the storm looked like. And at 3:40, that's kind of where we were, and it was still coming. So you can see the magnitude of this particular storm as it was going through. Now, I fell off the boat about 4 o'clock. So we could have easily had some more of that storm coming at us as it was working that way. A lot of the questions come up about what kind of life jacket did I have. My inflatable is on the left, and I wear that during the day. I don't wear an inflatable life jacket at night. And I haven't done that for years. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of it is comfort, because at night it's warmer. And also after you've been sitting on a deck all day long, you got padding on your back, and and you're just kind of sitting back and sailing up the lake in most instances. So it's just a little bit more comfortable. But I also know that if I ever fell in at night, I didn't want the variable of the inflatable not opening up. So I do wear an inflatable, and I usually wear it during the day because it's just more comfortable and it's not as hot. But that's the life jacket that I had on. So those are the reasons why I wear a full life jacket at night and not an inflatable. I'm not saying one way or the other. I mean, it's all about your personal preference, what you think about it. But that's my thinking or the reasoning behind all of that. So as we go, I'll get back over to here. I'm trying to unshare my screen here. Come on, give me a break. It's always something about technology, right? Here we go. Stop sharing. So when I fell in, well, I consider myself being swept off the boat because this big wave came down. When I popped up out of the water, the first thing that I saw was the boat pinned down on a starboard tack, but it was obviously broached with the sail on the wrong side. It took them 6 minutes just to get the boat to get it flat, to get it out of a broaching position. By that time, I had moved. We had lots of rain. There was no visibility whatsoever. And so I saw them when I popped out of the water, but that was about it. After that, I didn't really see them at all for a while. So a couple things that I did in the beginning is, first thing I did was, I was very happy that the water didn't seem like it was very cold, because I knew that was a variable I didn't have to deal with. I didn't have that shock of that Lake Michigan shock when you hit the water. So that was a good thing. And then the second thing I did was turned on my strobe light. So it is not an auto strobe. I will probably purchase an auto strobe now, but I had to turn that on. I kicked my boots off. I had high sea boots on, so I kicked those off to make it easier to swim or kick. Because one of the things that I felt like I needed to do, and what the life jacket gave me, because I had front and back flotation, is to bob in the water. I was in 5 to 6 foot waves. And so I was getting crashed over a lot in terms of the waves. And then I was starting to take in water up my nose and my mouth. So bobbing straight up and down allowed me to just basically go up to the top of the wave. And also one of the things I did is I turned myself, gave the wave a shoulder. Think about if you go into Lake Michigan or you go someplace swimming and there's waves, you don't usually go face first into the wave unless you're diving. You usually kind of turn your back to it. That's what I did, hopefully to reduce the amount of water that was going into me. The one thing, I talked a lot about how the self-talk that I had. A lot of the self-talk was, the initial self-talk was, I knew what I needed to do. I've sailed 55 years. I have pretty good swimming skills. I've been on a boat, done 5 max. I've done 23 plus hooks. I taught for offshore sailing school for 2 years. I worked for John Coleus in Houston. I've done a lot of sailing in my lifetime, and I felt like I really knew what I could do. I really had to do in order to survive. And so that's the way my attitude was. for this. I'm going to tell you that it wasn't always that attitude. When it started getting pretty long from being in the water, I did have some thoughts about how this was going to end. And then basically I was found after that. So as I was kicking and basically treading water I was in the water for an hour as they looked for me. The temperature of the water is 56 degrees. And like I said, I had 5 to 6 foot waves to deal with. When I would float up, or when I would go on top of a wave, what I would try and do is hold my strobe higher, because it was attached to my life jacket. So I had elastic. So I would try to pull it up a little bit, not very far, but because I'm thinking I need to project. I need to get myself up and about. Couple of things. I could see shore at times. I was 5 miles northeast of the Sturgeon Bay shipping channel. So we were pretty close to shore. If anybody knows that area and have done any racing or cruising in that area, there's a lot of radio towers right there on the end of that at the shipping channel coming off of Sturgeon Bay. So I was able to see that, which was really great because I knew where shore was. So I had an orientation of where I was looking at. In order to maintain my position, again, it was about bobbing. There's been a lot of conversations, and the questions that people have asked me is, why not an inflatable? I've told you my reasons for not wearing an inflatable, but I don't think I could have done that, because an inflatable, just basically you're on your back. And I felt I needed to do that bobbing like a cork in order to stay upright, in order to handle it. They did call the Coast Guard, interestingly enough. Couple things that when the crew member went after the man overboard button on the GPS, which was down below, she was down below working on navigation and keeping track of the weather. She pushed the button multiple times and it wouldn't catch. So what she did is she took out her phone, which was close by, and took a picture of the latitude and longitude. So think about different ways so they had a reference about close to where I had gone off. So from their perspective, it was 4 to 6 minutes before they could even clean up the boat, just get the boat out of the broaching, shuttering position, the pin down position. But then they also had to clean it up. So it probably wasn't about 10 to 15 minutes before they actually started looking for me. Again, they called the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard came out. Again, they were only 5 miles away, which was to my distinct advantage. And so then I had 2 boats looking for me. I know a couple other boats had said that they would be looking out for me, but they weren't really in the vicinity. I think one was 7 miles out, and the other one was 10 miles out. That was the closest boats to assist in the location. So once they, because of the rain was really, you couldn't see anything. You couldn't see. At some point I did see. It must have lifted, because I did see both boats. I saw the J111, and I could see them panning with a spotlight. And I also could see the Coast Guard boat at one point. And the Coast Guard has a huge panel of red lights along its sides, on both sides. So it was really illuminated. But then I lost track of them again, and they were really far away. So then again, when the storm started to move out and everything started to lift, is when they were able to find me. Again, I did have a whistle. I did pull my whistle out. I started to use it in the beginning, like 10 toots on it, but it was really hard to blow it, because it was, number one, full of water, and number two, it took a lot of breath to blow that whistle. And I made a choice not to use it a lot at that point, because I couldn't breathe. I knew I needed to regulate my breathing, and I told myself that right in the beginning, because I needed to calm myself down. So I really worked on not hyperventilating in the process of being in the water itself. Again, even though I said to myself in the beginning, and truthfully I said this, you know what to do, this doesn't have to be your end, I also knew that what it would be like. I wondered what it would be like to drown, because it got to be a little bit longer than I really wanted it to be, is being in the water. Like, where were they? Are they ever going to find me? I also knew in my own head that the helicopter wasn't coming for me. And I really thought, okay, if the helicopter could come, they could see me overhead. But because of the storm, it was a huge lightning storm. So the helicopter can't run, and they come out of Traverse City. So you knew that they couldn't fly. So I knew that myself. So I knew that that wasn't something I could rely on in that particular time. When they did find me, they did throw me a rescue bag, and I was able to get that. And I was doing pretty well for being in the water for an hour. I had a few choice words for them, like throw me the line. Let's get this line out here. A little bit more colorful than that, but let's let's get this line. I'd like to come back on board. And so they pulled me in. I did experience really bad leg cramps in my left leg. And my thought was, don't start this, because I knew I couldn't kick if I all of a sudden got really bad legs. I found out at the hospital that's a sign of hypothermia. That's one of the things, is that you're losing your muscle mass, because the cold water makes you lose muscle mass quickly, is what they explained to me. I was concerned about my strobe light. And the reason is because I've had that strobe light for many years. And what I do every time I go sailing overnight, I turn it on, it works, I turn it off, and then it stays in my bag or attached to my life jacket. I never change the batteries on it. So if you have a strobe light that's really, I don't even know if you can change the batteries on them or not. I know it has a screw. So, they obviously keep it, but I did keep it airtight or watertight. I did look it up. A strobe should last 24 hours. But I was really worried that because I didn't do my due diligence on my strobe, that it would go out. And if that did, I would never have been found. At least, at that point. Obviously, they would have found me. But yet, that was really an important piece. So basically, when it comes down, it really comes down to it is being prepared. We were prepared for the storm. Every single one of us had the proper safety equipment on, and we were using it. Every single one of us was tethered in when this event happened. And so it just so happens mine let go. They all had experience with the Safety at Sea programs that are offered through the Chicago MAC and other offerings, as well as practicing their experiences. So they really had a good idea of what needed to be done in the situation. So from a standpoint of a learning experience, it's about being prepared. It's about being prepared and having the proper equipment. And again, I can't say enough for the guys and the girls who were on that boat, who really, worked hard to find me. And so that's my hour. Oh, I was at 56 minutes. I was in the water for an hour. I think I said that. And the water temperature was 56 degrees. And one of the things is a week before, because we've had all this hot weather, they were saying, oh, the lake is 70 degrees up in Door County area and things like that, and the Green Bay area, Sturgeon Bay area. But they had a turnover, according to the Coast Guard. With the wind and the waves and the weather that was going through, it had turned itself over. So it was no longer 70 degrees. It had turned itself to 56 degrees. So when they pulled me out of the water, and I was then transferred from the J111 to the Coast Guard vessel in a basket across the boats, and then went to my body temperature was 96 degrees, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I've learned a little bit about that. And Wayne, maybe you can address that. With your EMT and your rescue, it doesn't sound like you've lost a lot of temperature, but I guess at 95 degrees, you can start having cardiac arrest. So that's kind of what I was told, at least. So there is some difficulty with that as well. So, but I was in the hospital for 4 hours, which isn't too long. And they took care of me, and I was back doing whatever. So.
Absolutely. What a great story. I really appreciate you coming tonight. So I had one question from one of our, from David Jacobson. He asked about what what were you wearing to survive in 56-degree water for so long? For an hour, that is a long time in that cold of water. So
I actually just had on a light pair of gill trousers. I usually just wear the gill trousers. I don't wear bibs because of the bathroom issue. I hate having to take my jacket off, and so I just wear trousers. Any of our lady sailors can attest to that. Trousers are terrible. I mean, bibs are terrible. And then I had on a smock. I had on a Henry Lloyd smock, which actually I think was good. And neither one of those are very thick. We've had a lot of, hot weather at that point. It was 95 degrees sailing on Saturday. And, the smocks have the rubber seals. So I had rubber seals on both of my wrists. And I had a rubber seal around my neck. So I didn't get water going down the top. If I had a zipper, and I am so grateful I didn't have a full foul weather jacket on, because can you imagine? Because I wouldn't have been able to take it off, because I would have had it underneath my life jacket. I would have had my life jacket on over that, and you would have had this big, huge, bulky foul weather jacket on. And I was actually very happy I didn't have a foul weather jacket on. So I did not have any dry suit gear, nor did I have any that kind of thing.
yeah, okay.
Just
And
typical
I know I've talked to our group about PFDs before, and yeah, the PFDs that we wear on the boats do not provide nearly as much flotation as like a rescue PFD, which is about 37 pounds. Yours is about 26 pounds of lift it has. Both the inflatable and also it looked like you had like a kayaker vest almost.
Right. It is an extra sport, and it's more geared towards kayaking. Or the reason I originally bought it was because I was doing a lot of one design racing with it. And so it just gives you a little bit more movement in your arms, and more, light in lightnings and some of the smaller one design sailing. So it was more purchased for that reason.
I got another question. So Linda would like to know, what was the discussion among the crew as the storm was approaching, and did you see it on the radar? Did you know it was coming?
We knew it was coming, and we knew it was coming all day, because we could see the radar. We could scan down the radar, and then we could see it all the way over in Minnesota. So we watched that thing come across both Minnesota and the top of Wisconsin. Lake Winnebago, we could see it in Winnebago. It did not dissipate whatsoever as it came across the top. So as we knew it was coming, we had a plan. The plan was to take down the mainsail and get it really tied up with sail ties. In fact, we had 10 of them, because the skipper said, "How many do you have on there?" And we said 10. He says, "Okay, that should be good." So we really knew what our plan was. We kept the number 4 up because we were still racing and we needed to have some steerage. So we just kept going with that. So.
Okay. I got another question that came from Robbie and Joyce. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to those that are sailing at night? Would you have done anything different, or what would you tell them?
No, I don't think so, because I think that what I did is I was tethered in. I had a life jacket, I had a strobe, I had a whistle, I had all the safety equipment I needed. Maybe I would have beefed up my life jacket a little bit more with more reflective tape. Possibly, because mine has minimal reflective tape on it. And then that was something I've been thinking about, or at least get something that has more reflective tape on it. And then the only other thing, I guess the other thing is, as I mentioned before, is I'm thinking about getting a water activated strobe. Because if you're unconscious, you're not going to be able to turn it on. I was lucky enough. I had no injuries whatsoever other than the hypothermia, which I was diagnosed with. So I was lucky. I didn't, bust an arm or crack open my head or any of that. And that was a big deal in terms of finding me, was the stroke.
Okay. I got another question. I don't know if you would have any idea, but was there a Coast Guard debriefing, or were you a part of the debriefing for that?
No, I was not. But my husband and I, on Monday, we went to go talk to the Coast Guard guys. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the ones that had participated in the search and rescue. But we did talk to the Master Chief, and he's the one who talked about the water turning over and the water. And a couple things that they did say was that night rescues are pretty rare, and maybe you can attest to that, Wayne. When things happen at night, they don't always come out as nice as mine did. So they were very happy. And he said that was probably one of the nicest calls I've had in a long time, is when he got a call from his crew that we had been found. I was picked up by the sailboat. They got to me first. And a J111 has an open transom, which was very helpful, as well as they had a ladder. And even though I couldn't pull myself up, or I tried to, I couldn't pull myself onto the boat, I could put my knee on the ladder. So that kind of stabilized me, at least attached me to the boat a little bit. And so then the three guys pulled me out of the water. So.
Okay. One more question, or we got another question. Was the crew able to deploy a life ring or a floating strobe, and I guess also a man overboard pole? Did they throw that in?
There is no man overboard pole on the boat, number one. As for the life sling, no, they did not. And part of that is because if they did, they didn't really know where I was, and they couldn't see me. And so when they finally saw me, they were actually pretty close. And so they did deploy a rescue bag with the line in it. So that was really what we needed at that point. And because I was able to help myself, I was able to hang on to the line, and then they pulled me in for the line. But they did not do the sling at that point. And there was 5 to 6 foot waves, and at that moment, throwing that out probably would have been more problem than they needed it to be. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't have if the situation would have been different, because they had it ready. It was back there. It was ready, that kind of thing. So
I got a question from Lorraine. Did the crew go back to the original lat and longitude reading to begin the search for you?
Yes, they did. Because I was about a mile away from the original lat lawn by the time that they got themselves back in working condition after they got the boat settled. And then think about it. You have to take the sail down. You have to make sure all the lines are in, so you're not wrapping a prop, because, you got to take those moments or those minutes or, whatever, in order to prepare yourself, because you're not any good if you take a jib sheet and you've got now it wrapped around your prop. Then we've got 2 problems out there. So to take the time. So by the time they started, I was more than a mile away from the original lat launch that went in. So I had drifted a mile.
Okay. Another question from Robbie and Joyce. If you're tethered into a boat, should you also be attached, maybe, I guess, to a hard point in the boat, or is the
Yes. Well, I was attached to the jack line, being the webbing that goes from the bow of the boat to the stern of the boat, which gives you free access if you need to move up and down, forward and aft. And so you don't have to keep clipping and unclipping. And so it is just a standard webbing that we all use. So I did have one end attached to that. So when I left the boat, my harness stayed with the boat. It was sitting there and I was gone. So we really don't know why it happened. It was a wall of water that came down that deck. And so in the process of me getting flipped out, did my hand, my arm, whatever, accidentally get the tether? Did the force of the water open the tether? Was there enough force on the tether to open it? I have we actually have a test that was done on it informally, and it took about three pounds of pressure to open it. Wow. So if you think about what a wall of water will do, it's more than 3 pounds of pressure. to open something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Got a question from Mark. So how did they eventually find you? Did they see or hear your whistle?
They heard my whistle first. And then because once I saw them, I started using my whistle. I was kind of conserving the use of the whistle. And then they saw my strobe. So, when Wayne, you and I talked on the phone, and we talked about wing nuts in 2011. That was the cat that flipped in the Mac, and there was one person that died, and then there are other people. And the story that came out of that, or the lesson learned from that, was that what they heard first with the people who were still in the water was the whistle. And that has always stuck with me. So I knew the whistle was a really important piece of gear, and so that I would need to use. But then again, as I said, I had used it in the beginning, like toot, 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 thinking, okay, maybe they can hear me, but I couldn't breathe and do it. It was just too much. And so it was kind of like wasting my breath. So I waited. And then when I saw them, when things could lift up, I started tooting my whistle, and they heard that first and then saw my strobe.
And then your crew alerted the Coast Guard to your location, and then they came to
Yes, they were actually right behind them. So the Coast Guard guys were very disappointed that they didn't find me, because they wanted that rescue. They wanted that on their little notch on their boat side, kind of thing. So yes, that's what the Master Chief told me. They were really sad that they weren't the one to pick me up. So
I got a question from Debbie again. Did the crew share any lessons learned either formally or informally, I guess?
Well, first of all, one of the things is when they tried to push, because if you think the crew member that was down below, she was doing the navigation and things like that. We were on port tack, so she was on the windward side standing and just hanging out, so to speak, and watching the radar and watching the navigation and things like that. And then we did this big flip. And so now she has to climb. This boat is pinned in a broach, which is just like almost on, she was down. And so she had to climb up, and she kept trying to push the button, but you have to hold the button on many of the GPSs in order to get the man overboard. So the lesson learned is she couldn't hold herself long enough up there to hold the button down. So that was one thing that they really learned about, is that you have to really press onto the button to lock it. So that would be something to read your manual.
I think that answered Sally's question.
Yeah.
And also got one from Lorraine. Was a strobe light the determining factor you think that saved you?
Yes, I think that was part of it. Obviously they heard the whistle first, so the audio was really important, but I felt that the strobe was, and I thought when I first thought about the helicopter, and like I said before, I knew the helicopter couldn't fly. I just know that because of the lightning and things like that. I thought, okay, if my strobe is what they're going to see from over above too. So I think that the strobe was the easier once they heard it and gone. So.
Okay. Now, Debbie is asking a question you may or may not know. Are there certain whistles that don't work in the water?
I don't know that.
I could answer that.
Yeah, okay, please do.
Yeah, we've tested many whistles that work, and the ones that are unreliable typically are the ones with the ball inside the whistle.
Right.
It just has to be a bare bore that you're blowing into. And typically, they're very inexpensive, very simple, and they just clip on your jacket. The one she had is what we use at work, and you can hear them from pretty far away.
The Plastimo, which is what mine was or is, and it did have water in it. So I had to, I figured it would just blow, but it didn't. You have to get the water out first before you can. So, but yes, it's just flat plastic whistle. Harkin makes them, this is a Plastimo. So any of them, and they're pretty cheap. They're about 99 cents.
Yeah. Somebody asked the question, Linda, in the future, would you carry a small handheld aerial signaling device?
That question comes up a lot. They're pretty expensive. The EPIRB the personal EPIRB. But I actually looked at it, and they aren't really as expensive as they were when they first came out. I think they were closer to $500. I think they're down to closer to $230, $250 now. So it is, would I don't know that.
Okay.
I guess I don't plan going in the water again, but you never know. It's worth it, especially if you're cruising. If you're just two people, my husband and I cruised all the time. We wore life jackets, we had the strobes and everything else, but never thought about it. If you're, it sure would have made life easier if I would have had one, because they could have gone straight to a signal, or at least the Coast Guard could have gone straight to a signal.
Yeah, we were at the Miami Boat Show in February, and they had some small man overboard signaling devices, and it sent a signal to your phone whether you have a Wi-Fi. You don't need Wi-Fi. You don't need, and they work up to a mile away. So that was pretty. It seemed like a pretty good investment to me.
Yeah.
I got another one. Let's see. Were they searching downwind from your original location?
I went. I don't know. I really don't, because I saw the pattern. I saw where they picked me up and where they started. Because I went, I don't know, because I think I went south and they were still north, which kind of doesn't make any sense, because the wind was cranking. It was 20, 25 out of the southwest, just in general. That's what we were sailing in just as we were doing the race. So it was pretty breezy all the way up the lake. But I don't know.
Okay. Was anybody else on the boat injured?
No.
Okay. Did you ever hit the predicted 70-mile-an-hour winds?
We believe we did. But the wind instruments, I was told, didn't work past 50. But then they said that what they were seeing with the tops of the waves being blown off when all this was happening, and while they were getting the boat ready, trying to get it, they said it was pretty sure that they were in the 70s.
Okay. Did they use searchlights in the water, or would
Yeah,
they finish your strobe?
They did. The boat had a spotlight, which they panned. And again, I saw like somewhere, I have no idea the time frame at all. So I don't know if it was closer to when they picked me up or whatever, but I did see both the Coast Guard and the sailboat. And the sailboat was panning with a spotlight. The Coast Guard was, as far as I know, was not using a searchlight. When we talked to the Master Chief, what the Coast Guard does, at least in these conditions, I don't know if they use a different one, and Wayne, you would know this, is they used a square pattern. So they had the Latin launch about where I left off, and so they use a square pattern, and then they basically work their way back into that pattern. So I'm not sure. That sounds like that's kind of what the sailboat did.
Yeah, they work a grid pattern. Sure. It looks like that's all the questions. If there's anybody that couldn't send me a question, if you'd like to raise your hand and I could unmute you. Otherwise, if we've answered all the questions, we can let her go. Let me go to the second page. We have 2 pages here. So we have 26 people here today. Any other questions? Let's see. So
again, it's all about being prepared. We knew what was coming. We knew what we needed to do. We had a plan. Know what your plan is. If something happens, know what you're going to do. Again, I can't say enough about the people who were looking for me, as the boat that I sailed on, as well as the Coast Guard. They had the experience and the training, and that's really important. So if you get an opportunity, if you haven't done a safety at sea, something through U.S. Sailing or through another program or whatever, take advantage of it and get that knowledge and expertise, so that if it happens, if something should happen, even if it's not a man overboard or whatever.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your coming tonight, And like I said, I will send you a copy of this as well. I'll email it to you. And I'm going to unmute everybody so they can say thank you to you, and then we'll cut you loose. Thank you very much for coming out.
Happy sailing.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hope
us.
to never see.
Me
Thank you. Bye. Good
too.
night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mark now. Conduct the meeting.
Okay.
You have to. Yeah, go ahead. You're unmuted now.
Okay. Yeah, that was a quite a fascinating story. A very good job on finding. Yeah, let me turn my volume down a little bit here.
Okay.
Hold on. There you go. Yeah, again, a very good job on finding her as a speaker. It was a great story. Welcome everybody. Again, I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation. It's a pretty scary one, but you know, everything worked out in the end, which is really good news for everybody there. So, again, that was quite a story. So, yeah, why don't we just well, actually, real quick, let's maybe just do a quick few update reports from some of the board members, if they've got anything to report. Wayne, do you have anything to report?
Nothing new. I'm just the upcoming next weekend sail. I'm the cruise captain for out of Waukegan. If anybody has or hasn't signed up. Other than that, if you got any ideas for speakers for me, I know Larry had sent me a speaker idea, and I've tried to get a hold of the guy that wrote the book. So if you talk to him again, Larry, just put me in touch with him again. I'd like to have him come speak with us. Other than that, I have nothing new to report. You want to ask Gwen?
Hi guys. A communique came out yesterday. I sent it out. Sorry for the last minute send off, but I tried to get messages out to everybody, letting them know the communique was out and who our speaker is going to be today. So hopefully next month it won't be so last minute. But enjoy.
Great. Thanks, Gwen. Yeah, the communique looked great. Lorraine, do you want to give an update on our sales? You're muted, Lorraine.
Sorry.
There you go.
Unlike the story we just heard, the 3 sales we've had since the last meeting have been all calm seas, low waves, beautiful winds, and we just had 3 really good sales. One out of, let's see, we had 2 out of Kenosha/Waukegan, and then this past weekend, Chicago, with Larry out of Monroe and Debbie out of Montrose. So, you know, we have pretty much the same people signing up for all the sales. So if some of you haven't sailed and you're thinking about it, now's the time to do it. I just want to thank all the skippers who keep coming back. We have actually 6 people, 6 boats that we keep reusing over and over again. And I really appreciate the generosity of those folks doing this week after week. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that the rest of the sales are as good as the ones we've had so far. Only 1 cancellation due to weather. So this coming rest of August, we have one this weekend out of Waukegan, then Kenosha/Racine, and I'm not sure if we have anyone out of Racine, except maybe Dale Bennett, and I haven't heard from him. And then 3 in September, and that'll be it. So if we get those all accomplished, that'll be 10 sales for the season, which I think is pretty good considering the year that we're having. So still need 2 new people, 2 people for one for the September 19th and one for the September 26th sale. And the 26th sale is to be determined. I was hoping to get some ideas from people if they have any ideas, if anyone wants to think of something a little bit different than what we've been doing. I don't know if there is something different, but if there is, I was thinking of maybe just matching, you know, if crew tell me who they'd like to sail with and just matching it up with that boat, whether it's Chicago or the North Shore. I don't know, not too original, but something just a little bit different. So we'll see what happens. But two more cruise captains, one for the 19th and one for the 26th. And that's about it.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Lorraine. Great job. Looks like hopefully everybody's been enjoying the sales. Yeah,
Can I just add one more thing?
Oh, sure.
October, again, I know we haven't gotten our awards out from last year yet, but October is our photo contest. So it's going to be, you're going to send me your JPEGs. I'm going to post them on a voting sheet and send it out for everybody to look at. So that's the way it's going to work. So start gathering your pictures from the year. If you're not sure of what the categories are, you can look in the membership directory, or it's online on our webpage. So.
Okay, great. Actually, I'm just going to kind of go look around the order here. Ted, do you have any updates on our Facebook? There
Are
you
you
go.
talking to me?
Yep.
I don't, but I do have an update about sailing.
Oh,
There we go.
I'm now in Wayne's World, and I'm gonna go sailing on Wednesday, so
okay,
excited about that. Virtually,
great.
No updates?
no updates.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Irene, our member at large, do you have any updates?
Okay, you're unmuted, Irene.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, I said there's no news at this end. It's been pretty quiet.
Okay, great. Yep, thanks. And George and Sally, any updates from the ship store? Oh.
Okay. No, we have nothing to add for that, but Donna would like to speak to everybody about an upcoming sail that she's going to be a cruise captain on. So thank you, Donna. So why don't you unmute for Donna?
Okay. Yeah, Donna, do you have any, want to talk about your upcoming sail?
Yeah, hi. Lorraine gave me the August 19th sale. No, September 18th, whatever, the third week, whichever one it is. And it's interesting because I have Chicago tags on my car. As far as I know, I'm going to be able to come into Wisconsin, and I've not been a cruise captain before, but I was talking to George about it today. So I don't know the boats or the harbors or the guys who are the skippers, but I'm going to be the cruise captain. So everybody needs to send information to me. Please use my cell phone number. For whatever reason, my house number is in the directory, and I can tell you what, no one's ever going to answer that number. The 708 one is my cell phone. And so I need to figure out who the captains are, and, you know, so that I can do a really great job of this cruise captain thing.
So one question I have is the link that I just put in the chat. I use that to sign up for a sale. That's still a good link. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
The person who runs that is not me.
Okay, I got an email back, and it was sent to the cruise captain, but I just wasn't sure. Does that work? Did that work, Wayne?
Nathan, are you talking about the sale for this coming weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you're signed up for it. I checked earlier today.
Oh, great. I just wanted to make sure I didn't give any misinformation out, because that young fellow actually wanted to come and sign up for a sale. So
Now, you signed up on the website, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw your name on there, so that's good.
Woohoo!
What's your last name, Nathan?
McCracken.
McCracken. Are you a new member?
Huh?
Are you a new member?
No, I just been a member for a couple of years and never sailed. I always went up someplace else and did it.
Okay, very good. But you're okay. All is well.
Good to know you're okay, right?
All right, Mark, you got anybody else from the board?
Okay, yeah, great. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, Larry, thanks for putting those links in the communique for the library there.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I came across them. I thought it'd be something that we might be interested in.
Yep.
That's your library, something to read.
Yeah.
Yep. Great. And let's see, Joyce?
No real news. You know, I guess, you know, we're past the deadline for new members, so I don't think we've had any additional names lately.
Okay, great. Okay, well, with that, I'll kind of go around the room here a little bit, and we can just kind of see what everybody's been up to, if they've got anything to.
Can I guide this for you, Mark, if you don't mind?
What's that?
Can I guide this for you?
Yeah, sure. It's probably easier for Wayne. Yep.
Let's just go to Nate first. Nate, just what's going on? Unmute yourself. I can't unmute you. There you
Well, I, tried on my personal flotation device and found out I gained a few pounds. So I grabbed an auto inflation vest up at West Marine there. So I'm going to do that. And I've got a lanyards on it. So I have a strobe already from when I was down in the Virgin Islands. So I'll use that. And then other than that, I'm looking forward to finally sailing. I mean, and poor Lisa, she's not coming because she's worried about coronavirus. So, she's had a compromised immune system. So I respect her on that. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us again. Good thing I ran into you. Let's see. We got Casey is next. Are you there, Casey? They may have. There we go.
I'm around here.
Okay. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
So
Turn the lights on.
I'm a creature of the dark.
Okay. What's new in your life, Casey?
Not much. So managing to go sailing every week, so that's keeping me happy.
Where are you sailing out of?
Kenosha.
Oh, okay.
So the weather's been nice, so I cannot complain.
Oh, good. Good.
And I usually find somebody to go sailing with. So even though Kenosha seems to be kind of crowded with people.
Yeah. Are you going back in your room? Yeah. All right. Thanks, Casey. Debbie, you're next. Debbie, you're unmuted now.
Yep. Okay, there we go. Nothing really new other than I had some outboard engine problems this last couple of weeks, but that's all been repaired. I had a wonderful mechanic and I'm happy now. So.
Oh, good. Good. All right. Irene?
Nothing new. I'm just recovering from hip surgery and I'm doing pretty well.
Oh, that's
Great.
good.
Good to hear it.
Yes.
I noticed people are running out of the room as we're getting down the list of names.
Called on.
Kathy. I think you have to unmute yourself, Kathy. I can't do it from my end. Kathy Maska?
There you go. Yeah, this is Tom. I'm using my wife's laptop. So.
I can tell with that light behind you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just been enjoying I've made, I think, most of the sales and really enjoying it. I am the cruise captain for the 829 sail, and we do have one boat commitment for Kenosha, Casey, who's been volunteering. So again, big thanks to Casey. And Lorraine, I have reached out to Dale. I left him a message, so I'm waiting to hear back from him as far as Racine. But as soon
Did you hear from anyone else in Racine?
I reached out to everyone again. I did get a response back from Dave Strachan. They're unavailable at that time, but I haven't heard back from anyone else on that list. So. I'll let you know shortly if I hear.
Okay, don't forget Waukegan. We can always use Waukegan also.
Oh, okay. I'll reach out to them.
All right, thank you. Sally, you guys are up next. There you go.
George has been doing the sailing.
I've been going out a little bit. We tried for the single-handed society last week. They had a double-handed race that I went on with Bill Belansky, and that went from Racine down off of Glencoe. There's a R4 buoy, and then to the Mid-Lake buoy, and then around Milwaukee, and then back to Racine. But that we left on Friday morning, and there was so little wind, it took us probably a half hour to go drift over the start line, which was about 50 yards away from us. After 12 hours of sailing, we were off Waukegan and dead last, and we just decided to head back home because our the GPS said that we would get to the Racine buoy at 12 o'clock Saturday, and the cutoff was 12 o'clock on Sunday. So there was no way we were going to finish anyhow. So we thought, well, we'll just go back and salvage the weekend. So, but it was just dead at that. I don't know who else was sailing on Saturday, but I don't know if you had any better luck, but we certainly didn't. But it was fun.
Was that this past Saturday, George?
They're muted.
Sorry, you're muted again.
George, was this past Saturday? Or
it was on Friday when we left.
This past Friday.
Yeah, but it was over the weekend for those who finished up.
Oh,
Did you get good wind at all?
By the end of the night, the highest wind we saw was 5 knots.
Oh,
You know, and for a good part of the time, we just bobbed. We were just, like I say, after 12 hours, we were off Waukegan.
And who organizes that race?
The Single-Handed Society, Mike Kinney.
Okay.
Ah.
All right. Well, thanks for that report. Larry? Yeah, there, I unmuted you.
Which Larry?
You.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's nothing really new to report on the sailing, and that we have some new family news. We're expecting our first grandson in January.
Ah.
Yeah, so after 5 girls, we finally get a boy.
Nice.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got Donna.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, because I didn't get a sign that it usually says you are unmuted. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking forward to being my first cruise captain. I was going to suggest that maybe after this presentation today, maybe we should do some sort of a listing of advised safety equipment on your life vest. I don't have a strobe or anything. I have a whistle and I have one of those twist-on lights, but that's it.
Well, I think the U.S. Coast Guard has a checklist of stuff that you can put on there. We can post something to our website. I can ask Hutch to put some safety gear on our website if that's not already on there. I'll take a look.
I was thinking of some kind of program we could do since we're Zooming like crazy these days.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a great idea.
Also, I wanted to say yesterday I was on Larry's boat and we had a great sail yesterday. We went south the first time I've been through the shoals and it was great. Weather was beautiful. We were heeled over at 20 degrees, you know. Yeah. Let's cruise.
Nice. Who do we got here next? We got Joe Voss.
Hey, good evening.
I'm sorry? It looks like Joe had a question as well.
Yeah, so I'm new to this group. This is my first meeting, so I appreciate y'all having me join. I'm new to Chicago, but not to sailing. And one of the reasons I joined was to look for opportunities to join people on a crew.
Great.
Fantastic.
You can go on the website and sign up.
I saw that someone posted a link, so I will do that.
Okay, fantastic. Good
Welcome.
Welcome. Good to have you here. How long have you been
Welcome.
sailing, Joe?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been sailing?
It feels like forever. Back in the middle 2000s, I did quite a bit in Houston, both in the Gulf Coast and in Galveston Bay, and did a couple of regattas that were overnights, which were interesting. They weren't as exciting as what we heard about tonight, but they were interesting.
Well, I can tell you, Joe, most of our meetings are not like this. So.
Wow. Well, that was actually pretty special. I'm glad I heard that. A lot of things I hadn't thought about.
Well, thanks for coming out and welcome. Linda? I think you got to unmute yourself, Linda. Linda.
Hello.
There you go.
Oops. This is Bill. Actually, I was able to. There. Hello?
Do it again.
Yeah, actually.
Not very good.
Hello, I'm here now.
There you go. That's better.
Okay, we had 2 iPads here, so we were getting some echoes or something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got out for the first time this year, Saturday, with Dave Michael, former member out of Racine. We went out. It was a beautiful afternoon. Threw a painter out, took a nice swim. And are we getting our directories out pretty soon, or have they been sent out? Does anybody know?
Unfortunately, no, not just yet.
Okay. And I also sent an email to membership. I wanted to make sure I was still paid up for this year. I haven't heard back on that, unfortunately. And also, I sold my boat. So
Nice.
I got a real good price for it, so I was very happy with that. Now I'm looking to move up to something a little bigger, 27 to 29 foot range. And so I'm shopping, but there's no rush on it. And then, Wayne, you're a diver, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, did you ever, there's that little like crib off of Racine there?
Yes.
Where all the birds use it. Did you ever blow any bubbles around there at all?
No, not off Racine. I haven't. The only place in Racine where I dove in the harbor before, just for cleanup.
Okay.
We did.
All right, I was just wondering about it.
Oh, yeah. Is your
I didn't catch your last name. I can check on your dues. What was your last
Bill
name?
Seeger.
Oh, Seeger. Yes, I remember your name.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
double check.
Thank you.
And Bill, you can always look online, and that's going to be the most updated membership directory. Is going to be online because it constantly should be updated.
Okay, and I also saw on our website the Boat US Foundation, so I went on there and I did the safe boating class online, and it was a nice refresher. And for anybody who wants to do it, usually you'll get like 10% on your insurance if you send that into your insurance company. So that's about it.
I just did it this year as well. It's a really good refresher for anybody who hasn't done it lately.
Yeah, and
okay.
Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. We got David. There you go, Dave.
You get some sound out of this. I don't know if you're getting it because I cannot hear you guys when you're speaking unless I put these earphones on. So something's going on in my computer. Otherwise, everything's going okay. Had a good time on the weekend over there in Montrose, and I'm enjoying life. And that's about all I can say at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks,
Dave. Joyce, you got anything new for us as far as what's going on with you guys?
Well, let Robbie talk. What's going on?
Not too much. We've been out sailing about a couple times a week, and I recently completed the ASA a trim sail class, and that was kind of difficult. But nevertheless, it's just I'm just really a boring guy.
Okay, there's worse things to be.
Yeah.
Now my screen just changed. Let's see, who do we got next here? Mute. We got John. I see a couple there. Oh, you guys are already unmuted, or you were. I just muted you. Unmute yourself, John. There you go. Yep.
I don't have anything new. It's life goes on, be it as it may.
We're a long ways from water, even though I don't like that. But mostly we've been doing a lot of gardening, and the food pantries are liking us because our cucumbers have been magnificent, and now the tomatoes, and we can't eat it all. So we're finally able to be with our grandchildren again, and that's cool. But I don't think we're ready for sailing yet.
Where are you guys at?
We live in Wheaton,
Oh, okay.
so it's a haul to get to any of the harbors. And got a couple of compromised immune systems, so we're kind of taking it easy.
Understood.
Okay.
We have a lot of cucumbers and tomatoes in our garden too that we're trying to get rid of.
Well, the food pantries have been very grateful.
So our neighbors, yeah, neighbors, coworkers, friends, everybody's getting our bounty.
Yeah, we kind of gave all of those, and the food pantry's a half block away.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Nice hearing from you. We got, this one just says iPad. Looks like Hemingway. You'll have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, it's Jeff Wilcoxon, and Kelly's here also.
Oh.
I just, we've been participating with a couple of sales the last few weeks, and certainly appreciate all the efforts that Lorraine puts into getting things organized under challenging conditions.
All right.
You're welcome.
Nice to see you guys. Got Jason? There you go.
Hi, everyone. I haven't done any sailing except for that.
Oh.
I guess that's good enough.
Nice.
Yeah, it's as close as I get to the water right now.
Are you an artist?
And, I'm sorry?
Are you an artist?
If you call that art, yes.
Oh.
I play around with it, so.
Nice job.
Yeah, I can't get near water. I have asthma, so I got to sort of exclude myself, but it's great hearing from everyone, and hope everyone else is out enjoying it. A question, though, is I've heard someone mention it before. When you go to Wisconsin, is there some sort of rule that you have to isolate yourself or quarantine?
So I can answer that probably. I mean, Chicago has a different rule. Chicago has a rule that if you go there over 24 hours, that you're supposed to quarantine for 14 days when you come back. Cook County has a recommendation not to go to Wisconsin without quarantining, but there's no rule. The only rule right now is in the city of Chicago.
Okay.
Unless somebody else has different information. So that's what we got. All right. Well, nice to hear from you.
Thanks.
I got Larry, but I can't, it doesn't show your picture, but if you want to unmute yourself, if you can. He's just on an iPad with no video. There he goes. Yep, gotcha.
Anyway, the question I had, when I was looking at, listening to the presentation, I was looking at that storm. It had a lot of red in it. At what point should have they maybe canceled that race? I mean, if they were going into a 50 to 70 mile an hour wind, if that wind was 100, you might have lost several people. Just out of curiosity, have they ever canceled the race and had to shelter? I mean, I was in a storm at 70 miles an hour with all the sails down, and it was a little touchy. You know, you try to get the boat into the eye of the wind, and I couldn't even find where the other one was coming from. But I just a thought. I mean, have they ever canceled the race, or should they have?
I don't think they've ever canceled one. I mean, I was in that Mackinac race where the wing nut had rolled over and somebody perished, and they did not cancel that race. But at that point in the race, we had already been in harbor. We decided to cut it loose at that point.
But that's what I meant, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
that's a captain and crew decision.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
That was my only comment. You know, safety first, and it just was. Sometimes when you look at that red, you know, and it looks too nasty, it's just like maybe head for the harbor.
Absolutely. Yeah. What have you been up to, Larry?
And we had a couple sales. One sale on Saturday, we had a pretty good wind. I did notice something that I didn't know. That I had a serious weather on the boat, and it showed a lot of like light gray, and that was fog. So when we were sailing, the visibility going south towards Indiana was maybe 3 miles. And we went through all the shoals trying to get to the 69th Street crib, which took a little bit of effort. But we had some real good wind coming back, and probably not, that wind didn't exist on the north, going up north, but the south was good. And we came back and we ran into the demonstrations, but other than that, it was a nice time.
Right, fantastic. Did we cover everybody else? If we didn't cover anybody, raise your hand. I can unmute you. I think we got everybody. So I'll turn the meeting over to Mark.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah, thanks,
wait, we got John. There we go.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Yep,
you're
Cindy.
muted.
I just wanted to say that I did not get the communique. John did. So that puts us on his iPad instead of the better view on my laptop. And so I would accept the communique if it came out to me.
I would say anybody, because I got a message from Debbie that she didn't get it as well. So I'd say if you're not getting a message, they can send you.
The communique, send it Joyce.
Send Joyce
Yes.
updated information.
Yeah.
But I've
Send
gotten
it
it
to
every
me
other
and I'll
time.
check your email. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've gotten it every other time.
Oh.
Oh.
This was just, he got it and I didn't.
Okay.
And I got
time as well, so.
I got
Can
the
you-
program description, but I didn't
you-
get the link.
Check your spam folder too, just in case.
I'm gonna check tomorrow.
Okay, I'll check.
And then Debbie.
Joyce?
Debbie did
Yes.
as well.
Joyce, is there any way you can send reminders out to the people who haven't paid yet? Maybe they've forgotten that they haven't paid.
Okay.
I noticed you had a few people on the list. Can you just send them an email or a text or something letting them know that you haven't been able to find their check in the mail?
Nice way to put it.
And maybe I'll even double check with Mark that maybe he had a check or two that I wasn't aware of. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that would be a good thing to do. So okay.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I'll turn it back over to you, Mark. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's right. Yeah, thanks, Cindy. We'll take a peek. So yeah, hope everybody enjoyed the meeting here. It was a fantastic presentation. Pretty scary, but it was a very good one. So a lot to be learned, and so hopefully again, it was good to see everybody. And Lorraine, keep up the great job with all the sales. Everybody's very thankful. And again, all the cruise captains and all the captains who've been volunteering their boats as well. They help make everybody's job very easy. So yeah, keep on sailing. And yeah, it looks like again for the indefinite future here, we're going to keep on doing Zoom, and we haven't even really thought about our banquet or anything like that yet. So I have a feeling that with where things are, that's probably will not happen this year, but we'll keep on top of things because it'll be coming up probably sooner than we expect. It's already halfway through August. So yeah, good to see everybody, and hope to see everybody again next month.
I will say that of all the social clubs that I know of, or all the groups, we're doing a very good job of making the best of it and still getting out on some sales and getting participation from members. So keep this up. So.
Yep.
Good night to everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for putting on the meeting, Dwayne.
All right, bye.
Take
guys.
care, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Wayne.
Good to see y'all.
Bye, Mark.
Hey, everybody.
Bye,
Take
all.
care.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.